Okay, so we went off on a bit of a tangent. I wanted to talk about how. We've talked about the difference in volume. I included that in another video. I wanted to talk about how Ben sees the world in his mind, but to do that, we need to think more carefully about how we see the world in our mind. And what I wanted to highlight is the fact that we don't actually really see in 3D. We feel like we know the world's 3D, and so we imagine, yeah, we see in 3D, but we don't see in 3D. We don't see depth. We infer depth. We kind of we make an assumption that it's there based on the fact that our left eye sees something a little bit different to our right eye. And this measure of how different the image is in our left eye compared with our right eye is called parallax. So we use this this phenomenon of parallax to infer how close an object is. If we look at this situation here, we've got, let's say, a load of background trees, and we've got a tree near to us, and we can see the direction of the light would travel, and what you would see behind that tree in your right eye, and what you'd see behind the tree in your left eye. Compare that with if the tree was further away, you don't see that much difference. So if an object is further away, and you can test this out for yourself, take a pen, bring it close to you, you'll see, first of all, it's very hard to focus on, but if you try really hard to focus, or maybe actually it makes more sense just to close one eye and close the other eye, you'll notice that the view of that nearby object in each eye is very different. If you then compare that by putting it at an arm's length and close one eye and and close the other eye, you'll get a very similar image of that object that's further away. So this is parallax. We talked from that. We wanted to try to get our head around what exactly what are dimensions. So I drew two perpendicular lines, and I said that, well, if I am able to draw just one line at all, then I can confirm that the thing that I'm drawing on, the thing that I'm drawing in or whatever, is at least has at least one dimension. If I'm able to draw a second line that is perpendicular, right angles 90 degrees to the other one, then I know that we have something here that is two-dimensional. I'm not able to do a third line from these two that is perpendicular to both of them, and that's how I know that this thing that I'm working with is not three-dimensional. What I can do is I can put my finger on the screen, which you won't be able to see, of course, and my finger will be perpendicular to those other two lines. So that's how I know that I'm living in a three-dimensional space. But coming back to what we're actually seeing with our eyes, this is an kind of representation of a 3D object, and it's how we would draw it on a two-dimensional piece of paper. As you can see, we've got right angles here, but we don't have right angles in the depth. In the depth dimension. That is, this angle here is supposed to be a right angle, but if we look at it and actually look just at these lines, it's clearly not a right angle. So if we think about it, that's actually what we would see. It's not just how we represent it on a piece of paper, but it's actually what we see if the cube is transparent. It's what we actually see with our eyes. So we don't see with our eyes this this right angle here. So our image of the world is not three-dimensional, but we can work out that it's three-dimensional purely by walking around objects and seeing that we've got a different view of it with each eye. That's how we can work it out. If you did, in fact, live in a two-dimensional world, you'd actually see one-dimensional images, but we'll maybe think about that in another lesson. Anyway, so that's a clearer idea about how we view the world, just from the point of view of directly how do we make sense of our 3D world. What we're going to look at next is how Ben sees the world in his head, and I'll give you a clue about that. We are pointing our head at the thing that we want to see. And so the things that we see are the things directly in front of us, which is why we end up with this image of what we're looking at, or one image for each eye. Now, Ben doesn't have to do that, does he? He's not. He can collect sound from all over the place. So we're going to try to have a think about what that would mean in terms of how he sees the world.